I think it's probably about time we got started, isn't it? Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to IWM Duxford. And no, it's not 3032, as I managed to get in the description of this video, and as very many people now have kindly pointed out, 2021, a Wednesday, interestingly. Not done a show here at Duxford on a weekday ever, I don't think, but pleased to say there's a good audience, some 3,000 or 4,000 here today for the flying day, and carrying on from the fantastic sights at Old Buckingham with a big audience there too. And we're very excited about what we've got flying this afternoon. Quite a spectacle of yaks actually. Looking out in front of me, and I'll show you all of that and what's going on. And of course we'll have the full flying display in just a little while. Engines due to start at 1:20 and flying at 1:30. I haven't had a running order yet. I'm getting nods and thumbs up, so all looking good, and we've got fantastic weather. Light winds, almost straight down the runway. Patchy cloud at 3,000 or 4,000 feet would be my guess. It's looking good for an action-packed flying display. And actually, we've had a little bit of flying already. Obviously, the based warbirds, and we've had the Antarctic survey aircraft out this morning, the Harvards, and I think the Rapides, although I've been too busy to notice. I should have said at the outset that I'm here alone this weekend, so I'm mixing 4 cameras, a little bit of flying, and obviously I'll be on the camera in a little while. We'll have a commentator throughout the flying display. I've just noticed my commentary mic is pointing at the ground, which is a bit of a shame. I'll go and fix that in a minute. Come back Andrew, come back Adam, all's forgiven. These flying days are really not a commercial venture for us. It just feels nice to be able to give them to you and try and do it at the lowest cost possible from my point of view. Anyway, had a little bit of flying earlier, an impromptu visit from 2 F-15s, so I thought I might start the show off with a little look at their couple of fly pasts. Let's have a look at that now. Nice to see the guys from Lake and Heath there paying an impromptu visit over the airfield, and something for the early audience here to enjoy prior to the flying display. As I say, we're starting engines in around about 15-16 minutes, and flying due to start at 1:30. I'm here alone. If you'd like to see more of these, do make sure to give the video a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and you can become a member on YouTube. That just contributes a little bit of cash to the kitty to encourage me to come out to more of these. And of course there is the on-demand service. If I've got my buttons set up correctly. Look at that. This is easy. Who needs a vision mixer? Assuming you can all hear me. I've got no idea, of course, because I'm not monitoring anything. The on-demand service at watch.planestv.com is where we have our archive of content, including the IWM Duxford Summer Air Show, which took place a week and a half ago. And if for any of you that were here will remember, on the Sunday afternoon we were staring at black clouds all afternoon, and we were thinking they were threatening the red arrows display. But I'm pleased to say that we got a full flying display in the whole weekend, And the full live broadcast of that event is available on the On Demand service. It's one of very many programmes that are available there. Lots of air tattoo programmes, Cosford, Yeovilton, very many Duxford shows from here over the last 10 years, and then stretching further back 30 years. There's a wasp, that's the last thing we need. Go away. Stretching back 30 years, and it's an entertaining service, and those subscribers, I must say a big thank you to any of you who are subscribers on the On Demand service. They've helped us hugely in a pretty challenging time with none of our big events taking place. Okay, well, it's all looking okay. Let's get rid of that title, and in a little while obviously we'll have the aircraft starting up, and we'll see some live action. But I thought before we do that, we'll cut and take a look at the Red Arrows display, the tail end of the Red Arrows display from the summer air show. I thought we'd watch back some of that we managed to squeeze in before the rain started and got me wet when I was packing away. Let's take a look at that before the flying starts here.
Straight ahead of us, the aircraft about to split for the second half of the show into the sections of 4 and 5. It's time for the detonator.
And low recovery. Go.
Brake, brake, go, calls Red 1. Here's Enid. Red 6 and 7 staying low on that brake. The red and blue smoke changing to white as they fly away from us. They're about to pitch up and reverse ready, the first of their opposition maneuvers. They'll have a closing speed of over 700 miles an hour, descending down to 100 feet and passing 100 feet apart in the dynamic Chippo Pass. It's Red 6 on the left with Red 8, Red 7 on the right. Here they come. Red 6 and 7, 4-point rolling down the line. Red 8 roller coastering back down to join them. 6 and 7 are staying low. Keep your eyes on them as they pull hard away, pulling 7G towards each other, about to reverse the turn, put on the red and blue smoke, and cross 100 feet apart in Cyclone. As 6 and 7 roll away from us, the smoke standing out really well today. Here comes Red 8 in from the right. He's at high speed. He's going to pull hard to the right. There's Enid, the bright smoke visible, the lights visible as he flies through them in the Goose.
A little bit left now.
Leading the synchro pair is Red 6, squadron leader John Bond. Bondy has previously instructed on the Tucano. He was the Tucano display pilot and joined the Red Arrows from the Typhoon Force. Flying through the middle of Enid in the Goose was Red 8, Flight Lieutenant Damo Green. Damo previously flew the Hawk on 100 Squadron. He then flew the Typhoon before joining the Red Arrows. Red 1 switching the red and blue smoke to white as he moves away on our right-hand side. Now let's look straight out to the front. Here come the nose lights of Red 6 and 7. Another maneuver that will look spectacular against these dark skies. Red 6 and 7 pulling up. It's time for the enormous Rolling Heart. Flying with Red 6 in the heart is Red 7 Squadron Leader Gregor Oxton. Gregor has previously flown the Typhoon on the front line. He's instructed on the Hawk T2 and will take over the synchro lead as Red 6 next year. Well, I'd like to take this opportunity to wish Karen a very happy birthday, who's with us in the audience today. Now in from the left and right with the white smoke on, Red 6 and 7. They'll approach each other again with a closing speed of over 700 miles an hour, tip their wings towards us before double barrel rolling in the opposition barrel. That blue smoke looking stunning against the sky, and in from the right-hand side is the nose lights of Enid. Red 1 at the front, Red 5 at the back. They're stacking top to bottom, front to back. In line astern formation, Red 1 about to bank them around to the right. The pilots will use their rudders to move the aircraft out before easing back and pulling into the turn. The call to reverse battle comes. Odd numbers moving to the right, even to the left, the opposite sides from normal. They're going to switch sides in a second as the smoke comes off in a maneuver called the slalom. Now back into battle formation. As tribute to the NHS and the frontline key workers that have worked so tirelessly throughout the pandemic over the last 18 months, the red arrows are about to smoke blue. This will stand out really well against the sky today in honor of the NHS. On the left of the formation there is Red 5 Flight Lieutenant David Simmons. Simmons flew the Tornado GR4 on the front line and then did exchange tours with the US Marine Corps. Now in from the left, here comes 6, 7 and 8. Red 6 and 7 rolling inverted. Red 8 tucked in underneath. This is Mirror. Well, the thunder getting louder over there to our front left. The sky's getting even darker, but I think we might just be able to squeak this in as Red 6 leads his section off to our right-hand side. It's time to look back out to the left. Here come Enid. The nose lights are on. The inside pilots about to roll from the inside to the out in rollbacks. Clear go, call 2 and 3, the signal for 4 and 5 to roll. Complete calls Red 5 as the rollbacks finish to our right-hand side. Now let's look straight ahead. Coming out of the gloom, it's Red 6, 7 and 8. The nose lights are on, the smoke about to come on as they're about to shackle in the duo break. Red 6 and 7 staying low, the red and blue smoke changing to white. They're about to pull up once more, pull hard back round towards us for the next of their opposition maneuvers. This maneuver first flown last year to relatively few audiences. A maneuver designed by Red 6 and named by the winner of a competition on the BBC's One Show, the aircraft about to barrel roll towards each other. Red 6 will then roll inverted down the line in crossbow. As 6 and 7 pitch behind us to prepare for the next maneuver, look out to the right-hand side. Here come the nose lights of the rest of the aircraft. They're about to widen and split high and low before simultaneously rolling in the revolution.
Check. Roll.
Red, white and blue smoke coming on. Red 1 leading that section off to our left. Banking around, those clouds getting more and more ominous. Meanwhile, Red 6 and 7 using their stopwatches, assessing the wind and resetting crowd rear, ready for the last of their opposition maneuvers. Here they come from the left and right. The white smoke is on. They'll pitch in, fly down the line, cross 100 feet apart before pulling hard away from each other, crossing twice more, changing smoke color as they go in the carousel. The pilots fighting the G-forces, that blue smoke looking amazing against the dark sky. They'll cross again, 100 feet apart, before continuing the turn back to the front for the last cross. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for the synchro pair. Now in from straight ahead of us, the nose lights are on. It's time for the display finale. Red 1 about to break for the spectacular Vixen break.
Break, break, go.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've been watching the Red Arrows.
Sounds like I'm competing with the commentary team here. If you just tuned in, we're about to go live with the Flying Day. That clip from our on-demand service from Duxford just 10 days ago. Again, that's available at watch.planestv.com. I'm going to hop on the camera now and leave you in the hands of our commentary team here.
Many thanks, and we'll speak to you soon.
Since we've got a moment. If you've just joined us and wondering what the Red Arrows were doing flying, that was a little clip from our on-demand service recorded here at Duxford just 10 days ago or so. I thought it'd be a nice way of kicking off the flying. But kicking off the live flying here at Duxford shortly will be the Spitfire, and closing the show later on will be the Mustang. We've got lots more in between. Commentary team will keep you posted much better than I will. I'm going to focus on pointing the camera in the general direction of some aeroplanes. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you, especially Chris, as ever, for tuning in and helping me out with having my back, I think you put it, Chris, and you have indeed, because I am here solo today. So if it's not quite the level of refinement you're used to from us, if that's not too an exaggeration of what you're used to from us on a live broadcast, it won't be quite as refined. We've got one manned camera here today and a couple of, three fixed cameras that I will be live mixing as well as being on the camera. So bear with me, but the bulk of our displays today are solo acts that should be within my capability to follow around the sky and give you a decent representation of what's happening here at Duxford. So I will now leave you in the hands of the airshow commentary team, get rid of my title, focus on pointing cameras at aeroplanes. Enjoy the show, everybody, and do join the chat. It's full of like-minded aviation enthusiasts, and maybe I'll get a chance to check in now and then and give a few shout-outs. We'll see how the afternoon goes. Enjoy the show.
So, ladies and gentlemen, bringing the start to this afternoon's activities, Spitfire Mark 1 N3200 and Hurricane V7497 are now running out on the airfield. They'll just go through a few brief power checks before heading out for takeoff on the runway in use. So, the first acts of the day, Spitfire and Hurricane taxiing out prior to their departure. A little bit of a brief history of the two aircraft we're just about to see. Spitfire Mark 1 N3200, owned by the Imperial War Museum, and appropriately enough as a 19 Squadron aircraft, is still based here at Duxford, where it would have been based in 1940. That particular aircraft, when flown by Squadron Leader Geoffrey Stevenson, was shot down on the 26th of May 1940 over the area of Dunkirk, just prior to the evacuation Operation Dynamo beginning. The Spitfire laid under the sands on the French coast at Sangatte for around about 45 years before being recovered and restored into the pristine flying example that we're about to watch this afternoon. Following it out is an equally important aircraft. It's a Hurricane Mark 1 that actually saw service during the Battle of Britain and actually only arrived back at Duxford after some work with Hawker restorations just over 2 weeks ago. Its first flight originally, 31st of August 2018, so it's one of the newest Hurricanes around. But it's currently wearing the markings that she wore when flying with 501 County of Gloucester Squadron of the Royal Auxiliary Air Force as SDX during the Battle of Britain, flying from RAF Kenley. The aircraft itself was shot down on the 28th of September 1940 whilst being flown by Pilot Officer E. Rogers. He was hit by Messerschmitt 109s, but he did manage to bail out safely, with the Hurricane crashing at East Sutton near Maidstone. Yeah, thanks, Liam. Listening now, we're not going to talk a lot of the time while we're flying because obviously I think you both, everybody here knows the sound of a Merlin engine, a 27-litre supercharged Rolls-Royce V12. Both beautiful sounding engines, and sometimes I wonder if Rolls-Royce got together with the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra to tune the things. So please just enjoy the sound of these two taking off. So, ladies and gentlemen, out to the right, that's the end furthest from the M11 near the Land Warfare Hall. Spitfire and Hurricane just rolling out to the runway very shortly to depart and to begin this afternoon's flying display with some lovely pairs formation flying. So while we wait for the Spitfire and Hurricane to form up and come round, just worth mentioning a couple of the Spitfires that we have also got out on display that you can get a close look at. Just behind me where I am at the control tower near Hangar 3, you'll find one of the T9 Spitfires belonging to the Aircraft Restoration Company and Aerial Collective. And next to it, a beautiful blue PR11 Spitfire, photographic reconnaissance, probably more famous at the moment as the NHS Spitfire, that has been flying around last year over the hospitals and otherwise, supporting the NHS through names being marked on the aircraft in support of NHS charities. Do go and have a close look, either during the flight or more appropriately maybe just afterwards. It's just by Hangar 3, just behind the control tower. So, ladies and gentlemen, from the right, Spitfire Mark 1, N3200, Hurricane Mark 1, V7497. Hurricane clears from the right, Spitfire Mark 1. And from the right, ladies and gentlemen, Spitfire's last pass. So as the Spitfire calls downwind, the Spitfire and Hurricane will be returning to terra firma, to be followed off by the North American T6 Harvard, currently down by the Land Warfare Hall in those attractive Navy markings. That'll be taking off shortly into the hull. So, with the Spitfire and Hurricane back on the deck, attention turns to the North American T6 Harvard, a very famous Second World War trainer. Just about to head out to the hard runway to take off. It'll then be going into the hold for a short while, to be followed by Peter Kuipers in that lovely Yak 50, which is going to get airborne and go straight into its display once the Harvard has cleared. Attention turns now to the Yak 50, just heading out onto the hard runway. And for a bit more information on the Yak 50, I'm going to pass you over to Graham in a moment.
So, ladies and gentlemen, the Yak 50 now lining up to take off. The pilot, Mr. Peter Kuipers, usually known for a little bit bigger aeroplane because he's one of the main pilots of the Sally B, resplendent on the hard standing now. But this is his little runabout, the Yakovlev 50. Quite an incredible aeroplane. Won the Aresti Cup a couple of times. For those of you good folk who don't know what the Aresti Cup is the world champion aerobatics, and the Yak 50 last won it in 1982. Been flying since the mid-70s for the Soviet team, and obviously back then looking out to saying who's the best in the world, so the Soviets put everything got into the Yak 50, and a lot of them after 50 hours were typically scrapped because of the G-force that they would be going through. So I'll be quiet now, and you can look at the power-to-weight ratio of this incredible little aeroplane that can probably outclimb the majority of the fighters that we have on display here. So I'll shut up now and let you listen to the Yak 50. Yeah, the Yak 50, quite an incredible aeroplane. You can pick one up for the price of a mid-range BMW. And they're not quite as economical as a mid-range BMW, but considerably faster. And there are probably about 60 or 70 worldwide still airworthy today that you can pick one up. All you need is a private pilot's license, a tail drag conversion, and get used to quite a bit of power. So the pretty little Yak 50 is now doing its last pass.
So we're just going to get the Yak 50 back on the ground, then we'll get the Nanchang CJ6 airborne off of the runway going into the hold before the return of the T6 Harvard. So as the Yak 50 clears the runway, Nanchang CJ6 taxiing out for departure prior to going into the hold, and then we'll see the return of the Harvard.
Okay, now the Nanchang is cleared. From the east, we have the Harvard coming in. Now the Harvard makes a sort of unique sound. I kind of liken it to a wasp on steroids trapped in a tin can. It's the tips of the propellers hitting the sound barrier, as they were quite a few of them made. An advanced trainer in America, quite a few fighter pilots would have gone over to the Empire training schools in Canada, learned to fly, and there we go with the noise. Learned to fly in aeroplanes like that. So if you can imagine the tedious sound of the propellers hitting the sound barrier, quite a few hundred of them in the air at any one point, you can imagine it would have rattled the windows quite somewhat. Mass production aeroplane, hence the propeller not geared down direct to the crank, so it spins so fast, like I say, like a bee's wings, to keep the big aeroplane in the air. Average Harvard about 600 horsepower. The last advanced trainer the pilots would have got in from about 1942 to 45. So obviously you would imagine learning to fly in something like a Tiger Moth, getting out of that something like a Miles Magister or a Master, and then into a Harvard, and then into a Spitfire. So kind of like going from an average sports car into a McLaren. Flown nice and sedately today usually makes more racket than that. So if you can imagine, ladies and gentlemen, lots of young men, 18, 19, maybe 20 years old, learning to do their advanced flying and techniques, getting used to air combat in an aeroplane like that, and then getting out of that into a frontline fighter, maybe early doors, 19, 20 years old, with something like, I don't know, 8 or 9 hours practice in the frontline fighter, then fighting for your life. So the last pass of the Harvard coming through now, and then I'll hand you over to Liam for the next aeroplane, which will be the Nanchang.
So the North American T6 Harvard just turning finals on its land. Once that's down and back to its parking slot, we shall see the re-arrival of the Nanchang CJ6. As we watch the Harvard touchdown, the Nanchang that we're about to see is actually Chinese designed. It was the first indigenous Chinese designed aircraft. Its predecessor, the Nanchang CJ5, was actually a license-built version of the Yak 18. Now we saw the Yak 50 flying earlier. The Yak 18 was a predecessor to that aircraft, and the CJ5 a license-built version. But the CJ6, although it has quite a lot in common, is a home-built Chinese home-designed aircraft, and as I say, the first indigenous design for China. So the Nanchang CJ6 we're about to see, formerly operated by the Chinese People's Liberation Army Air Force and sold initially to the United States of America before being sold on to the United Kingdom. It's one of only 4 Nanchangs known to be in Europe. It's displayed in the colours of number 1 Flying Training Wing of the Sri Lankan Air Force based at China Bay, which had operated the type since 2001. Nanchang is powered by a 300 horsepower 9-cylinder supercharged radial engine, and it gives it a maximum speed of 165 knots. It has a very distinct reverse gull wing with a fully retractable undercarriage, meaning that it cruises around 25 knots faster than the Yaks on less power, as we see its arrival from the left. Estimated over 3,000 of these aircraft were produced for, amongst others, obviously the home Chinese Air Force, but also as export, designated the PT6 to countries including Albania, Bangladesh, Cambodia, North Korea, Tanzania, and as we mentioned, Sri Lanka. So with the Nanchang displaying out in front of us, we've got the next couple of display acts starting up. Extra 330 and Cap 232 will be followed out by North American P-51D Mustang Miss Helen. So that concludes the nice polished display from the Nanchang. He's going to turn downwind and come into land. As taxiing down the taxiway now, Cap 232, and my apologies, not an extra 330, an extra 300. They're going to be taking off very shortly, going straight into their display. But we're also going to get North American Mustang, Miss Helen Airborne, out to the hold, which will be our final act of the day. But we've got some aerobatics to perform beforehand. We'll give you a bit of information on the Mustang when we get close to the time, but I'm going to hand over to Graham in a moment for some details on the extra 300 and the Cap 232. He knows a bit more about them than I do. All I really knew was that Cap 232 details the survey requirements and presentation required by the Civil Aviation Authority to ensure aerodrome licenses comply with their legal responsibilities under Article 102. So, as you can see, I've probably got something wrong there. Graham's going to have a chat about the aircraft that we're going to see.
Okay, soon to be taking off from the west end, we have a Cap 232, not a litigation of law like Liam's just said, but actually an aeroplane, and the extra 300. A couple of aeroplanes that basically I think they have a separate switch on board of the instrument panel that says turn off physics. Quite incredible aeroplanes, both of them won aerobatic trophies. The Cap 232 is flown by a lady called Diana Britton, a champion in her own right. The Cap 232 was based on a 231, which was for the French Air Force in around 1985 as an aerobatic trainer. Had a wooden fuselage and carbon fibre wings, as the 232 has now. 300 horsepower Lycoming engine, so the power to weight ratio of that aeroplane is quite incredible, and won quite a few aerobatic trophies as well. The extra 300 is one of a line of extra aeroplanes. Now you think extra what? Extra is after Walter Extra, the German gentleman that invented them, out since the mid to late 80s. And the extra 300 is a first of a line of very high performance aeroplanes, and you might have seen, if any of you have witnessed the Red Bull air races, with the pilots pulling more G-force than most people could possibly imagine. One of our pilots, Stu Goldsping, still drinks on the fact that he gave me a ride in his Cap 10, turned me upside down, and of course I didn't know about G-force and tensing my tummy muscles, and my peripheral vision went, I saw black, and I was not a happy bunny for a few minutes. Actually, when I got outside and I was trying to stand out like a boss, of course, and then realised that the G meter had only hit 2G. But these aeroplanes are rated to much more than that. The 232 is rated to a possible plus 9G, as is the extra. So enjoy the spectacle of quite some incredible aeroplanes. The Mustang will be airborne first, and then will depart, so the extra and the Cap can then do their display. Mustang, when it starts rolling, you might, of course, most of you know, recognise the same engine notes as Spitfire. It's the same Rolls-Royce Merlin. However, 1941-42, when the Mustangs came out, Rolls-Royce gave Packard in the United States license to build the Merlin engine, so Mustangs started arriving over here already with the Merlin engine fitted. But the Merlin engine in a P51D is, I don't want to bore you all with technicalities, but it's a two-speed, two-stage supercharged engine, developing about 1,700 horsepower, opposed to N3200, the beautiful Pretty Mark 1 Spitfire earlier with about 1,200. So quite a bit more supercharging to it and a bit of a harsher sound, but nonetheless beautiful. ladies and gentlemen, and the extra and the Cap 232 will be coming shortly. They'll be a little bit quieter than the beautiful Mustang, of course, but some quite incredible flying. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, coming in now from the west, so from the right of the airfield will be the Cap 232, flown by Diana Britton, and the Extra. The Extra 300 being flown by James Hepner.
So that concludes the display of the cap, just about to recover to the airfield, and then we'll be seeing the final display act of the day, North American P51D Mustang Miss Helen. Now Miss Helen, based at Duxford these days, is a very special aircraft. It was actually flown with the 352nd Fighter Group 487th Fighter Squadron during the Second World War, and was the personal mount of Captain Ray H. Lipker. It's actually recorded as having been flown on a number of combat missions, which included on one occasion in April 1945 destroying 6 confirmed ground kills. Now, Lipker is credited with a total of 10.5 aerial victories, but is also generally known as the unknown ace. He hasn't necessarily had the same level of publicity of some of the other guys in the 352nd, but he was actually the 3rd highest scoring ace with a total of 23.5 victories, with only John Meyer and George Preddy highest scorers in that fighter group. And the Mustang has just called 1 minute to begin the last act of our display this afternoon. And here comes the Mustang from the right. So the Mustang is an appropriate aircraft to bring our show to a close, as mentioned earlier. Number 19 Squadron, who we're marking today, did fly the Mustang 3 in service around about the time of D-Day, but of course we're seeing what we would more traditionally see as a Mustang in the United States Army Air Force markings.
When the Mustang was being repainted to get the correct blue for Bodney for the 352nd, evidently the engineers that were repainting it went back to Bodney Station to the old derelict buildings and scraped all the paint until they got down to the correct blue colour, which was the correct blue for the nose of the Mustang. So that is absolutely precisely as it would have been flying from Bodney a long, long time ago. The reason Liam and myself have been a little bit quiet along some of the commentary is so you good folks can enjoy the sound of that beautiful Merlin.
And ladies and gentlemen, from the right, the final pass of our final aircraft, North American Mustang Miss Helen. So as the Mustang positions itself downwind to come in and land for the end of the day, it has been pointed out to me that that very original combat veteran Mustang is available if you are so inclined to take a ride in with our on-site partners Aerial Collective. It's worth also noting that one of the first aircraft that we saw today, Spitfire Mark 1 N3200, is also available for you to get your hands on the controls, unfortunately not in the air. But we do have the option to take a seat in Mark 1 N3200 as part of our cockpit experiences that we offer here at Duxford. And if you'd like to get behind the controls of a very original 1940 Mark 1 Spitfire, then take a look at our website, IWM.org.uk, and you'll be able to see the various dates that are available through the rest of the year. So as the Mustang comes round, I always like to take a moment just to make a note and thank the pilots who we've seen fly today. In the Spitfire, at the start of the display, we saw John Romain, accompanied in the Hurricane by Neil Oakman. We're just watching Stu Goldspink come round in the Mustang as we speak. But also, we had John Ware in the Nanchang CJ6, Peter Kuipers in the Yak 50. We had James Hepner in the Extra 300, Diana Britton in the Cap 232, and Nigel Wilson in the T6 Harvard. So I'm sure you'll all agree they put on a fantastic show for us this afternoon.
So, ladies and gentlemen, the P51D Mustang with Stu Goldspink at the helm is safely down. From me, Graham Rogers, I'd like to thank all of you for your excellent support today. Thank you for supporting the museum today. I hope you've thoroughly enjoyed your day. And I hope you're very grateful for the weather that we all organised for you. Okay, so many thanks indeed. Hand you over to Liam.
Yes, thanks very much, Graham, for joining me, accompanying me very nicely up in the tower here. Just as everyone starts to move away from the fence, if you enjoyed today's flying display, it's worth bearing in mind that we do have a number of these flying days remaining through the rest of the summer, 2 more midweek ones through the rest of August, and we also have an evening flying display just recently announced, and that's going to be on the 28th of August. We also have, on the 4th of September, a fighter-themed flying day. New one for our calendar, wasn't on there earlier on, so do check that out. We're hoping for quite a good contingent of our Warbird fighters here. And the bonus of that one, if you're so inclined, once the flying day has concluded on the 4th of September, we'll be moving into an evening event for a dedicated photography event with 6 single-seat fighters that we will exhibit throughout the site and light up as the evening goes on, culminating in engine runs on a handful of those aircraft. So if you're a budding photographer, keen to get up close to something a little bit different, after our 4th of September flying day, tickets are now on sale for Duxford in a Different Light, and as we're calling this one, Fighter Night. There's one more flying display, one more flying day, which is in October. But we've also got tickets on sale now for the Battle of Britain Air Show, 18th, 19th of September, promising to be a very, very good show indeed. But
well, I'm certainly looking forward to some of those air shows that Liam's been guiding us through there. Thank you for sticking around, everybody. Thank you for joining us for this live broadcast of the Flying Day. I hope you've enjoyed it. A one-man effort. I'm ready for a drink and some lunch, but hopefully it wasn't too disjointed. The odd slip up here and there, but hopefully an enjoyable broadcast. A lovely way to end it. There's Stu Goldspring in a very majestic performance in the Mustang. Lots of aerials, loops, rolls. Wonderful to see the big high energy manoeuvres actually, which we haven't seen much of this year. I think people are just building up to some of the higher energy manoeuvres. Yeah, like Liam was saying, there's lots more going on at Duxford, and we'll be covering some of that, most of it, some of it, the bits that we can justify. Best way to keep in touch with us is our email newsletter. There's a link in the description to that. Just pop your email address in. That comes from me. You can reply to that, and it's a nice way to start a bit of a two-way conversation. You can hassle me to cover other air shows if you like. Tom Turner, thumbs up from Tom Turner, so he's enjoyed the show. Thank you for everybody for joining in, and thank you again to Chris moderating over in the chat. And yeah, lovely to see so many of you. It's quite nice to think that people have the time. Hopefully your boss isn't too annoyed about your extended lunch hour this lunchtime. Let's see who is in the chat. Probably everyone's headed off home. I was throwing it out there. Chris saying thanks, Ian. You're very welcome, Chris. Thank you. I would win at 10,000 feet. Oh, there's a debate about Spit v Mustang. I will sit with that one out. Although Typhoon... Oh no, I'm not going to enter into this conversation. Spins make the palms sweaty. Presumably talking about the cap. Some lovely gyroscopic manoeuvres there. The engine and pilot quite close to the centre of gravity there, allowing for those lovely gyroscopic manoeuvres. There's a bit of action going on. While I've got a bit of energy left over, I'll maybe cover some of the departures. I'll make no promises though, because it took me 4 hours to set all this up, and I dare say it's going to take me similar to Knockdown. Who else is in the chat? So good on the camera. Thank you, Rob. There's definitely a way to get me to read out a comment. It's complimentary stuff about camera work. I did notice a comment about how soft the long lens was, which it is when you're into the sun like that and up at f11 full ND filter. To be honest, not many lenses are going to help you in that situation. Everything's silhouetted. It does begin to look a bit soft, but some nice sky, nice light over to the left. Hopefully not too terribly soft. I hope I'm not soft looking at this. Oh dear, it was quite good fun on my own. I've enjoyed this. And I did manage a sandwich today, so that wasn't too bad. Story of the weekend of a P-51 shooting down an F-190, depending on the pirate skulls. Hey, I'm enjoying this. Nice to have given you the opportunity for a bit of a chat about aviation. I've got the Antarctic Survey aircraft out. Well, yeah, I think I'll hop back on the camera for a little while, see if this yak manages to start up, and maybe follow him out. Nice to see a nice surprise visitor here to the airfield today. Give the video a like, do subscribe on YouTube if you haven't already, and as I say, there's a membership option on there which really does help encourage me to come out here and do more of these. Very best way to support us is the on-demand service, at watch.planestv.com. That's our on-demand service, giving you access to our back catalogue of videos stretching back 30 years. Lots of airshow action there. Certainly some really good Spitfire stuff. I'm working on getting Spitfire airshow up there, which is a lot of Spitfire material shot in the 90s. That's all gorgeous stuff. This yak's trying his best. I'll just check the chat one more time for any feedback. It took me ages to try and answer them without being rude. Alright, that was a personal message, never mind. Yeah, good to see everyone on there. Bless ya. Yeah, juggling the mobile phone. Midi Dash saying thanks, Ian. You're very welcome, Midi Dash. Thank you for joining. And Ivor saying the big red one has been circling over you, so that will be the Antarctic Survey aircraft Twin Otter that I did catch taking off earlier. I haven't quite got around to preparing that clip. Have I got it on camera one? Yeah, but you won't hear me when it's on. just tucked himself in his little hidey hole up at that end of the airfield. Got another wasp down my neck. Oh God, fingers crossed. Great filming. Oh, you're very kind. Monty, good to see you in the chat. And Paul saying thank you for streaming. You are very welcome, Paul. Thank you for joining. Oh, this wasp's crawling up my arm. Great way to spend your leave, Paradave. Well, I agree, and this is my holiday, you know. Haven't got the Plains TV shirt on. I've done 2 days holiday off the back of Old Buckingham at the weekend. Spent on the beach with the family, lovely job. And then up at 4:30 this morning to drag myself over here solo with the trailer. And I'll be back to my holiday tomorrow, so hopefully you'll find an entertaining way to spend your leave tomorrow that probably won't include me providing a live stream of my day at the beach, because who wants to watch that? And the repeat in action as well. Greetings from Germany. Hello Klaus, thank you for joining us. And great surprise to have a midweek display stopped you from working. Eric, I'm sorry about that, or I'm sorry to your boss or to whoever is expecting work from you. But hopefully worthwhile. You can explain to them, I'm sure. And Capital 194 in Austin, Texas, saying just started watching the channel. Capital, thank you very much for joining. I hope you're enjoying the channel. Got plenty more to come through the rest of the season. We'll be a little bit quiet through August, but as I say, the best way to keep in touch is subscribe to the channel, but do sign up for the email newsletter. Link in the description. It's not too salesy. I send it out once a week generally. I did pop one out this morning just when I found time to let people know we were doing today's broadcast. And Gemma asking if I'm filming at the Duxford at night. I'd like to. The day prior, I'm scheming a live broadcast as well. I won't say any more because I don't want to be having to elbow other people out of my my camera spot. But the day before I'll be 300 miles away. But I think I can run up the M5 and come and do a bit of Duxford evening display action. It does sound lovely. Brendan in the helicopter at I think it was 8 PM with flying starting an hour or two before that, I think. A nice innovation, you know, something different here at Duxford, and the sun's right round behind us at that point. It could be pretty spectacular if we get the weather right. I'm a sucker for it as well, you know, give me half a chance to come and do some live broadcasting. I do enjoy this engagement with you guys, so if I can find a way I will do the evening display at Duxford. But don't let that stop you coming to the show. That's the very, very best way to enjoy it, of course. And another plug for IWM membership, which of course allows you free entry to the flying days. I think. Well, I hope I haven't. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Adam will tell me off if that's not the case. He's down there doing his own bit of filming. Oliver, lovely to see you in the chat again, Oliver. Thank you for streaming. Great video. Hopefully next live stream. Yeah, well, there'll be one. Yeah. Twin Elsa. And that's about it. And Eric saying he works for himself. Well, Eric, so do I. And my work is filming air shows. And okay, no one's paid me to be here today. But thank you very much for your engagement, all of your engagement. And, you know, if you fancy tuning into the September air show, I anticipate that being a pay-per-view broadcast. So do make sure to subscribe on the on-demand service, where you can gain access to that and very much more. One last glimpse of the chat and then I will. So Yak's given up. Really, it's just pleasure flights going on and a few civvy departures. So I probably will end it there, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hope to get to Bournemouth in September, says Falcon. Be a nice show. There's lots going on in September. It's going to be a busy month. So, email newsletter in the description. Sign up to keep up to date with what I intend to be live broadcasting. I should say we, because usually I will bring a couple of other people, but this one's been a solo effort. Hopefully kept it together all right. I'll say cheerio. Knock down and head back to the beach. Cheerio, everyone. Enjoy your. If you are out in the sunshine, enjoy your day in the sunshine. Bye bye.